deep to left center field. Back it goes and gone. The 0-2 pitch. Hey, struck him out swinging at 101. Swinging a drive, left field and deep. Back it goes and gone. And the Twins walk it off again.
All right, it is that time on a Friday. We're joined by Cory Provus. He calls, of course, Minnesota Twins baseball on Twins.tv. His appearances are brought to us by Welton's Tire Service. Great to catch up with him as the Twins get set to start a series in Detroit. All right, we have a poll question going today, and I know you have to take yourself out of it, your job out of it, because you had to stay yesterday. But if you were just going to a game, how long would you stay if the game is delayed? You know they're going to play. It's just a matter of you got to wait it out. How long would you stay?
Am I with my children?
Yes, that's the yes, because I would say the yes. How long?
I would stay no more than an hour.
Okay.
If I'm by myself,
Yep.
I'd be more inclined probably to stay a bit longer. Now, I'll say this. If I was by myself, I'd hang out. But if I was with my wife, 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't think she would stay more than she would say. She'd look at that forecast and say, out. We're leaving. I'm leaving you if you force me to stay any longer.
Yep.
So yeah, those that stayed, God bless you. And they saw a great game.
Yeah.
They saw, a day that the Twins needed, a day that the offense needed, and come into this series with some momentum now.
Now, I was also convinced for the people that stayed, like the ones that got on camera behind home plate, there's no way they had those seats, right? They moved down because the ushers just said, yeah, come on, go ahead.
I would think so. Now, the Champions Club seats, I don't think they just took people from the upper deck to come down. But I'd imagine those that were behind the dugouts, I would say they just say, come on down, enjoy the day. You've waited 4+ hours to see a baseball game. Have at it.
Right?
Target Field is your oyster and enjoy your day.
Let's talk actually some baseball here. You mentioned yesterday was needed. How badly, Cory, were the last 2 days needed to put together two solid baseball games?
I mean, you see the difference if your starters give you a chance. And that's really what it boils down to. What has gone on this month is that the pitching has been so bad. I mean, historically bad. I mean, the Twins, the team pitching numbers this month are trending in a way that they haven't touched. I think we have the stat. It was April 1994. The Twins pitching numbers overall, the ERA was approaching 8, I believe, that month. And here, the Twins team ERA was approaching 7 before the last couple of days. So it really boils down to that not too long ago, entering the month of June, the Twins had a top 5, top 6 rotation pitching numbers in the game. And to truly see that number double, not just regress, Dom, but double, I don't think anybody saw it coming. So it's been ugly. And yes, there were times, and the pitching carried this team for 2 months. So again, some regression I think was expected, but not to bottom out in the way that it has. And that's really what it boils down to. Sure, the offense could, hey, they have their spots. Defensively, it hasn't been sound. Some mistakes, yes. But to me, you just can't win if your team ERA is around 7. You're not going to win many baseball games.
And the issue, and you just talked about it, where if you're a Twins fan and watching, maybe you miss the start of it, so you flip it on maybe a half hour in. Twins are down 4-0. They're down 3-0, down 5. I mean, you're not even, if your starters aren't giving you a chance to win, then there's no chance you're going to win the ball game.
And if you look at it, and we see this in our game notes every day, they break down towards the back of the game notes, and any fan can look this up too. They break down inning by inning scoring. Like, what innings are you doing the best as an offense? And conversely, what innings are your pitching numbers inflated? And by far, the largest gap that the Twins have any one inning this season is the third inning. The run differential in the third inning is like almost minus 30, 25, minus 30. And look at what we saw, whether it was Bailey or Chris Paddock the other day. We're not just seeing a run or two score. We're seeing crooked numbers. And like after 3 innings, you're right. It's 6-0. It's 5-0. And here we go again. And it's like, okay, offense, let's get back, try to get us back in it. But man, it's deflating just to know that we're still on the same merry-go-round, different day, but
Yeah.
man, another sizable number against your team early on, and mentally it's going to drain you.
I know Pete Mackey, the pitching coach, called a meeting. Can you give us the synopsis of what that was with the starters and just how they go forward? From granted, Pablo's maybe not coming back at all. Zebby's out. This is the crew they got of what it's going to look like going forward.
Yeah, I was surprised even that leaked out,
Yeah.
because something like that seems, that they want to keep internal. Specifics. They weren't going to open up too much about what was said, but my understanding was it was pretty passionate and it was open floor. Let's have it open for ideas, debate, discussion. And Chris Paddock, I guess, was pretty emotional about it, and it makes sense. Paddock's a free agent, and Paddock, this is a very important year for him. Kind of where he's at with his career is 29. He's had some great moments, and then he's had some moments of regression too. But I think what Pete said the other day was, are we walking more guys this month? Yes. Are we not doing as well with 3-ball counts? Yes. 2 outs have been a problem. The Twins staff has allowed the most 2-out runs of any team in baseball this month. And it's just a game changer. You're 1 pitch away from ending the inning, minimizing the damage, and it just hasn't happened. And to go back to Pete, if he's asked, okay, what's wrong with the pitching? He said, well, it's not just one thing. It depends on the guy, depends on the day. Bailey's last start, as Pete mentioned, did he walk many guys? No. Did he strike out many guys? Yes. But did he give up home runs with guys on base?
Yeah.
Yes. So that specific day, Bailey struggled in areas that, David Festa did not. Festa, it's more about strike throwing, command, what's going on. That second time a lineup sees him, that's why he used an opener last time. We'll see what's in play tonight, if Festa starts tonight or if they have an opener in front of him. But it's been like a different thing with a different guy every day. So it's not just been one set area of struggle or inconsistency. It's been a variety of things, and that's why we've seen those numbers balloon in the way that we have.
I was going to ask, has there been any indication of who goes or what the plan is for tonight?
Not that I know of.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't checked. I've been really doing more on the Tigers than I have the Twins so far today. And, I don't know if the bullpen usage last night, if with Dandy Coulomb throwing, I don't know if that impacts today. So maybe they do just start David Festa. They tried the opener twice. It hasn't worked. Once in Atlanta and then once on the last homestand. So it wouldn't shock me if they just say, hey, David, here's the ball. Go get him, and we'll see what we do.
We'll get to the Tigers here in just a moment. I know the big talk, Cory, especially after the weekend with the Brewers and the first 2 games with the Mariners, like, okay, this stretch between now and the All-Star break is really going to tell, at least in my opinion, I think a lot of others, what the fate of the 2025 Twins is. If things go sideways, in your opinion, do you see moves coming?
Yes. I see moves coming because that's what history has told us.
Yeah.
When the Twins traded Jose Barrios, he was under team control for another year, but the Twins were not a contending team. And I just think that, Derek Falvey is of the mindset that they just can't say, okay, it wasn't our year, let's bring the whole team back and try again. It's not really how they operate for the most part. Remember last year, they stayed quiet. And there was a lot of debate about that, and it ended up biting because they didn't do much, and they had a contending team that I think in non-contending years, there's more evidence to say, yes, that they might trade away some assets that they would otherwise keep, or maybe even stay quiet when they are more of a contending team. So, yeah, I think if these next couple of weeks don't go well, I think the Twins are going to be a fascinating team around the trade deadline to watch and study.
And to me, those middle relief guys, then they've been really good. Those are the ones that can fetch you a couple of prospects. The teams will. You've talked about this, I know, last year. Teams overpay for those are the guys that set you up to win.
Yeah, I would be almost stunned if the Twins are in that position that we referenced, that Duran, Jax, Varland, Stewart, if they're all still on the team.
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
shocked if the team doesn't improve and they continue on this path where they win a couple but then lose 4 or 5 in a row. I'd be surprised if they have the same team as we sit here and chat now that they do in early August. I'd be almost surprised if that happens.
Last thing before we break, Cal Raleigh, chances of him winning the MVP are high in your opinion for 2025 or no?
I mean, it's no, because
Okay.
Aaron Judge is killing it.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Judge is having he's having an unbelievable season in every possible way. He's not just killing it on offense and playing average defense. He's really good, and he's doing this without the Juan Soto protection. I think is incredible. Aaron Judge, no, I think Aaron Judge is the MVP right now. It's a shame because yes, Cal Raleigh in any other year would have this thing locked down. It's amazing what he's doing. He's setting records every single day. He had a great season series against the Twins. It was pretty cool the other night though that Joe Ryan struck him out 3 times. Only now twice has that happened to Cal Raleigh this season. That one pitcher struck him out 3 times. It was Michael King in San Diego and Joe Ryan with the Twins. That's saying something. That tells you how good Joe Ryan is and how good he was the other night.
How many All-Stars in your mind right now from the Twins?
Oh, I think just one.
Okay.
I think just one. And it's a shame because I think, I hope it's Byron Buxton because of I think the local tie there is great. The All-Star game being in Atlanta. And Byron's from, not close to Atlanta. He's from a few hours south in Baxley, but still native Georgian. I think that'd be great. So I think he is the overwhelming favorite. But Joe Ryan certainly, I think, is in the conversation. Griffin Jax should be. But with his role, it's tough to make it because the pitching rosters either are starters or closers. And Jax's ERA is on the higher side, even though he's got this incredible strikeout rate of 40%. Amazing. League average is 22%. He won't make it. And Joe Ryan's been great. I don't think he'll make it. But I think right now, most likely only one, and a deserving one at that. I think Buxton's going to be in his second All-Star game.
All right, we'll break, come back much more with Cory, talk about the potential return of Royce Lewis, who's beginning to rehab, and look ahead to the series with the best team in baseball, the Tigers. That's coming up on the other side of the break. More with Cory Provus from Detroit. Back after this. Welcome back, everybody. Wrapping up our first hour. Cory Provus joining us in Detroit. His appearance is, of course, brought to us by Welton's Tire Service. Twins and Tigers coming up at 6 o'clock. We'll get to in just a second. It was 2 weeks ago tonight, Cory, that Royce Lewis tweaked again. The same hamstring here early in spring training. He's going to start a rehab assignment with the Saints tonight. Is this better news that he's able to do that so soon after he got hurt?
I think so, and I think it matches with what the diagnosis was when it happened in Houston. Is that it's same leg, but not as severe in a different spot. That they felt like this was more of kind of what Pablo dealt with early in the season. That this was, I guess, a grade 1. And yeah, he's going to rehab tonight. He'll DH with the Saints here tonight. So I think it's great news. I think it's great news that he's able to get back, but they are in no rush. Yeah. Though this is not going to be, hey, 3 games and then meet us in Miami. I think it's more on the homestand than it is at all on this road trip. So he's got a DH, he's got to run, he's got to play some third, he's got to play back-to-back games. So he's going to travel. I believe St. Paul's on the road next week. They're home tonight. So if you want to see Royce play, that'd be great in St. Paul against Louisville. But I believe they're on the road next week, and I would imagine he'll travel with the Saints next week.
Email coming to ask you about the Brooks Lee play that happened on Saturday that got some attention, that he didn't run out after striking out late in the game on Saturday. Ask your thoughts on what happened there.
Little surprised he played the next day. I had in my head, I was going to ask Rocco this question if he was not in the lineup. Was it because of that? And he did play the next day, but he was accountable. It looked bad. Can't happen. Yeah. Everybody said as much. Rocco said that he has to run. Brooks said he has to run. It was just an ugly game and a bad way to end it, and a bad way for his hitting streak to end too. Yeah. I was a little surprised he played the next day, but he owned up to it. He made a mistake. Won't happen again. And Rocco rarely even will publicly say and reveal what he said to a player, but he made that public on Sunday morning that, nobody liked it. And I talked to him, and it won't happen again. He has to run. Everybody knows that. So I think we mentioned it. It looked bad.
Yeah.
Said as much on the air. And but now it's in the past, and he's been back in the lineup, and he's been great. He's been hitting not for a ton of ball. He went deep yesterday, but the power numbers. If you bring up his baseball savant page, you don't see a whole lot of red. It's a lot of blue, but he's getting on base. He's getting his hits. I still like his defense. I know he had a rough game against Milwaukee, but I still like him a lot on the left side of the infield.
All right, here comes the best team in baseball, and we talked plenty last summer on how hot Detroit got from basically the All-Star game in, and they've carried that over in 2025. They have the best pitcher, maybe in the game, and Tarek Skubal is going to go on Sunday. What makes, in your mind, the Tigers so formidable?
They have won the most since August 3rd of last year. They have the most wins of any team in baseball. And the pitching chaos that they employed at the end of the year, man, it worked. They became, as a pitching staff, this ground ball, sinker ball throwing machine that was just incredible. And, they added to their team this offseason. They brought back Jack Flaherty. They signed Gleyber Torres as free agent. And Torres, the change in scenery for him, leaving the Yankees to go to the Tigers, has done him wonders. I mean, he's looking like he's going to be in the All-Star game. Javier Baez is the one that nobody saw coming.
No.
And Javier Baez, he might be in the All-Star game as well. Spencer Torkelson wasn't even guaranteed a job. Wasn't even guaranteed a job in spring training, because when they signed Gleyber Torres, they were moving Colt Keith to first base. And it's like, hey, Torkelson, you might be a DH or you might be in AAA. You got to beat out Colt Keith. And Torkelson, up until recently, was having this resurgent season. So they're really good. They if you look at their hitting numbers, they're top 5, top 10 in many key categories. Their pitching numbers are good. It was a really good story. Mike Petriello from MLB.com and the creator of Baseball Savant had that the Tigers, despite being a team that doesn't steal bases, they're not very fast, but they are the best in the game at taking the extra base. First to third, second to home. Forget force plays. I'm just talking about when they have the ability to go the extra 90, sometimes the extra 180, they do it, and they do it better than anybody else in the game. So there's some margins in there that they're exposing, and it's working to their advantage. They're great at home. I mean, they're really tough at home. They've got some injuries right now, and they lost a key arm in Jackson Jobe, Tommy John surgery. He's out for a long time. But game one tonight, they're going to see Sawyer Gibson Long, and Twins fans may remember his name. He was drafted by the Twins, a minor leaguer with the Twins, then traded to the Tigers for Michael Fulmer a couple of years ago. And Gibson Long, he's come back from injury. He'll go tonight. Casey Mize on Saturday, and then you've got Skubal on Sunday night. So tough series, tough ballpark, should be packed, but hopefully the guys are up for it.
You can give us the insight on this, because Sunday Night Baseball is maybe a big deal to fans, but for players, they don't care for it, correct?
Nobody. I'm telling you, man. I didn't know that, and I loved watching Sunday Night Baseball.
As did I.
As a kid.
Same
I
here.
loved John Miller, Joe Morgan. I loved Sunday Night Baseball. So my first year of the big leagues, 07 with the Cubs were whatever the max. I forget if it's 6, 7, whatever the number is. You're only allowed to be on Sunday Night Baseball X amount of times. Otherwise, it'd be Yankees and Red Sox and Mets and the Cubs every Sunday. But the Cubs maxed out their Sunday night allotment every year, and they still do. And I remember, Sunday Night Baseball, this is great. And then I'd ask and be like, no, it's not, because Sunday night is either a night to get home or you're on to the next stop on the tour. So yeah, for the Twins, it's their first Sunday night game, I think, since they played at Wrigley. It might have been in 2020 during COVID.
God, I had no recollection of that. Man, that's
they
crazy.
have not had a Sunday night game in my time with the Twins. So my first year was 2012. So maybe I'm guessing 2010, the first year of Target Field, is when they probably had their last home game on Sunday Night Baseball. So they're not on very often. And that's been fine by me, because it's a long night. The team's going to travel, get down to Miami, and they'll get in 2, 3 in the morning and have the off day Monday. That's great, but it puts the Twins back in the spotlight. But I think they're in the spotlight a lot. You play on Fox, you play on Apple, you play a Roku game. I think they're on national TV quite a bit. So they'll be on Sunday Night Baseball. It's going to be in Skubal on Sunday night. It's going to be awesome. I think at the ballpark, the scene's going to be great. I think Chris Paddock will be fired up to to match, I think, the game's best pitcher. So from an environment standpoint, it'll be fun. But for those that are in it and travel, no, it's not something that that you enjoy doing.
Last thing before we go, and I really appreciate the time as always. We got to see up close, you did as well, over the weekend with Jacob Misiorowski, who's now the next big thing. He and Paul Skeens went head-to-head earlier in the week. Is it his height? What makes him unhittable right now?
I mean, we kept hearing about his walk rate in the minor leagues. So he's a guy that throws hard, has these incredible weapons, but he's going to be behind. He's going to walk you. Well, I didn't see that game, and none of us did. That was Hunter Brown, because Twins have seen him twice, and he's been awesome twice. That, to me, has been the bar. Well, Misiorowski, I think, matched him. I mean, if not exceeded him, and that's paying a lot of praise to deservedly so to one of the game's bright young stars, because Brown has been great too. But that was something. That was really something to see. And it wasn't just chase. He was painting. He was hitting the inside corner, the outside corner, slider, changeup, great fastball velocity. He's 6'7". He weighs like 130 pounds, but he throws 102. And it was something to see, man. That was a heck of a show. And Joe Ryan was great. I mean, Joe Ryan was really good. It was a great pitching matchup. But yeah, Misiorowski is something else, and he's a treat, and he's going to be somebody that when he's pitching, crowds are going to come out, and that was packed. That was a day game against Pittsburgh that they had with him against Skeens, and he outpitched Skeens, and Milwaukee put up 4 runs against Skeens early and won that game. But man, that's great. I like the fact that there's a bright young star, another bright young star in our game. I just hated that he went against the Twins.
It's great to see you, man. Have a great call tonight. Safe travels to Miami. We'll talk next week, okay?
Okay, Dom. Thanks, buddy.
Cory Provus back with us here. His appearances each and every Friday brought to us by Welton's Tire Service. Twins and the Tigers start a series tonight, 6 o'clock in Detroit, and then it's a noon start tomorrow. And then, as mentioned, Sunday Night Baseball, obviously Sunday night at 6. Eric sent me this. September the 20th, 2020 was the last time the Twins were on Sunday Night Baseball. They beat the Cubs 4-0. I have no recollection of that. Granted, that whole late fall of 2020, I don't think anybody wants recollection of, but that was the last time they did it. All right, we'll break. We come back. We got some breaking news with our next guest. Jackson Money will join us, former West Fargo Cheyenne standout, Northern State standout, and Bison standout, about the next step for his pro career. That's coming up when Hot Mike returns on a Friday right after this.